Cure Hunter, using systems biology, network graph theory, and artificial intelligence for accelerated drug discovery. Welcome to our presentation on Cure Hunter. As most people in the pharmaceutical industry know, the approximate cost to bring a new drug to market is about $1.6 billion and generally takes between 12 and 15 years. It is an extremely costly and difficult process, and therefore new tools are needed in order to improve the drug discovery output. Because of the complexity, 1, 2, or even 3 scientific disciplines would not be adequate to tackle this challenge. Cure Hunter combines natural language processing with network graph theory, artificial intelligence, computer science, and several predictive algorithms in order to arrive at their results. The scientists have programmed the computer to machine read 20 million clinical studies from the National Library of Medicine Medline database, parse them into a giant array, and turn this massive quantity of unstructured data into usable information that can be queried and interrogated. This program came about because a family of diverse and brilliant scientists had family members stricken with cancer on 7 different occasions. They felt with their combined intellect they should be able to do something that would impact in a very positive way the healthcare system. This unique combination of brilliance, scientific discipline, and heartfelt motivation has resulted in a system that is unmatched by any that has come before it in its predictive capabilities of discovering new targets for existing medications or starting at the disease and calculating new cures. The Cure Hunter engine was programmed to machine read the massive clinical trials database and capture and cross-reference information on all known drugs, diseases, therapeutic techniques, important biologic agents, genes, proteins, mechanisms of action, mechanisms of onset, and peer-reviewed clinical results, and put that into a giant array. The use of network graph theory and multiple statistical algorithms enable a scientist to duplicate 10,000 hours of research in 2 to 4 minutes of compute time. The current environment is very daunting for a pharmaceutical or biotech company, with the elapsed time to go from original discovery to commercialization of a new drug averaging between 8 to 12 years and costing about $1.6 billion. The odds are stacked against success, with only 1 in 4,000 compounds ever being utilized safely to treat disease in humans. On top of that, only 1 in 3 drugs that is commercialized ever recovers its original development costs. The blockbuster model in the pharmaceutical industry is being challenged and questioned. This next graph depicts the process, the cost per stage, the time per stage, and the cost of moving a drug through the entire process and bringing it to marketplace. Because of this, it is necessary for pharmaceutical companies to charge prices for these medications that often seem expensive in order for them to sustain the drug discovery, development, and delivery model. As you can see from this diagram, with the Cure Hunter discovery engine, we essentially skip all of the early parts of the drug discovery process. We're using the drug discovery machine to query the existing database of drugs that are currently proven to be safe for use in humans and are predicting which drugs can be effectively repositioned or retargeted to treat new diseases. Because we start with a universe of already proven safe drugs, it greatly reduces both the time and expense to bring these rediscovered drugs to marketplace. This next slide depicts the multiple exit point strategy that we are sharing with our potential contract research organization partners. With the Cure Hunter drug discovery engine, we provide them a 9th inning head start, meaning 10,000 hours of research, in the drug discovery process. With these results and the list of ordered ranked drug candidates, they can then do cell testing for efficacy. And with those results, they can test the market for a pharmaceutical or biotech company interested in a royalty or licensing partnership. If the CRO is not able to strike an appropriate deal, they can choose to take the development a bit further and do some limited human testing. With positive results, they can then again test the market for a partnership opportunity with royalties. When one develops a quantum leap technology, there is generally a great deal of skepticism in the marketplace, especially since 100 teams of very bright and qualified scientists have come before you and yet have failed to achieve desired results. So how do we validate the predictive capabilities of the Cure Hunter discovery engine? Because they have created a giant array and they are able to manipulate and interrogate the data in a multitude of pathways, what they did to validate their predictive capabilities was to timestamp the database as of the year 2000 for all known diseases and their medications, and then run their predictive algorithms to determine what drugs they felt would be repositioned to fight additional diseases. In the year 2010, they ran their query again against all known drugs and diseases and compared that against their predictions. What they found is that they were able to successfully identify both the drug and disease in 30% of the cases where a new indication was found for an existing drug. This statistic does not mean that we predicted right only 30% of the time and wrong 70% of the time. It simply means that only 30% of the drugs that potentially could be repositioned were actually discovered during that time frame. The rest have yet to be discovered or published in any sort of clinical study. Remember, up until Cure Hunter, we have largely relied on serendipity or chance discovery to find new drugs. Think about aspirin. Mankind has discovered 10 different uses for aspirin, but it has taken us 89 years to do so. The Cure Hunter discovery engine can compress that process down to a couple of weeks. This graphic shows some of the companies that have suggested they have a computational drug discovery platform. Unfortunately, most of them, even with their teams of highly credentialed scientists, have been unable to consistently provide the desired results. The pharmaceutical industry has been very reticent to embrace drug repositioning for a couple of reasons. One is the lack of success from these teams of brilliant scientists, and secondly, because of a belief where the companies feel that they have great scientists, and if there was another use for their drug, they certainly would have discovered it themselves. A few well-known repositioned drugs are depicted on this slide. Probably the most famous is Viagra, which was originally developed for angina, and the test subjects found a different result. It has turned into a blockbuster drug for many years, producing $2 billion annually in revenue. With this kind of potential, why haven't the large pharma and biotech companies fully embraced drug repositioning? Answer: up until this point, drug repositioning was largely based on serendipity or an accidental discovery and was not a standard, repeatable, systematic process. Unfortunately, a serendipitous discovery is not a business model that any large pharmaceutical company will embrace. Cure Hunter has now changed that dynamic. This next slide is for illustration purposes only and is not based on actual Cure Hunter data. What we are trying to show here is that there are several medications that could be nearing patent cliff or off patent or abandoned in phase 2 or phase 3 of clinical trials that could be repositioned for one or several other diseases. The FDA and the U.S. Patent Office are very favorably disposed to granting new intellectual property rights to those companies that find new disease targets for existing drugs. Because the Cure Hunter discovery engine is based on the published clinical trials, by default, their best and most extensive database will be for the diseases that have had the most amount of money and the greatest amount of research dedicated to them. Such things as cancer, autoimmune diseases, chronic diseases, arthritis, and others will be prominently featured in this extensive database. The development of this highly complex yet very successful product began over 11 years ago and was primarily used in many pro bono cases for discovering new treatments for very complex diseases, and was used to provide researchers with a very powerful tool in a freemium type service. The industry is now discovering the value of the output of this tool. Because the data has already been machine read and is in a giant array, it can be queried and provide 10,000 hours worth of research in a matter of 2 minutes of compute time. Drug researchers are able to follow logical paths between mechanisms of action, genes, proteins, important biological agents, drugs, and diseases in order to find new uses for existing drugs or new treatments for difficult diseases. Drug discovery is just the tip of the iceberg of the power of this machine. Companion diagnostics, drug safety, payer formulary analysis, personalized medicine, and drug portfolio analysis are just a few of the other uses. The algorithms have been validated by running the programs and comparing them to the universe of predicted drugs that were actually discovered. They have also had several successful discoveries of new disease applications for repositioned drugs working with healthcare providers in a pro bono environment. We're in discussions with several contract research organizations about a unique partnering model. We're basing that on the concept of the book Blue Ocean Strategy, where you do not make incremental changes to your business in order to compete. You make changes that completely change the competitive landscape. Currently, contract research organizations are considered a cost of doing business for their pharmaceutical company clients. They are largely providing a service which is in competition with many very qualified firms. They are susceptible to pricing pressure by bidding one CRO against another CRO for these services. With our model, we are suggesting that the CRO partners with CureHunter to identify a portfolio of drugs that can be effectively repositioned to target new diseases. We develop that intellectual property a little bit further with human cell testing. We then bring that information to the pharmaceutical companies and ask if they want to strike an arrangement for royalty and the further development of the drug. The ninth inning head start we give our partner in the drug discovery process has shaved hundreds of millions of dollars and years off the drug discovery process. This enables them to bring highly valued intellectual property to their pharmaceutical company clients and proactively create their next clinical trial engagement with their customer. Because they're able to bring this high-value intellectual property, they can redefine the competitive landscape. We believe that this is a very favorable partnership business model because it truly allows our partner to stand out in terms of their service offering to their pharmaceutical company and biotech company clients. The Blue Ocean strategy enables our partner to create their own clinical trial engagement while changing the economic dynamics because they will be able to participate in a licensing or royalty agreement rather than simply competing for the services contract on a price basis. This is a business model in which everybody wins by leveraging brilliant technology to drive cost out of the drug discovery process and ultimately out of the healthcare system. The amount of time it takes and the amount of money it takes to bring new cures to patients has been dramatically reduced by using this drug discovery engine. Thanks for listening, and please contact Mid-Market Capital if you'd like more information on CureHunter. Thank you.